Tight ends. Every week, tight end is always a roller coaster. If you didn't get Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, this week is another roller coaster going into week 7. Friendly reminder, teams on buys. Bills, Rams, Vikings, Eagles. Make sure you take those guys out of your lineup this week and start making some moves. Like I said, make some moves. We like to give you some opportunity to say, hey, or take our opportunity and say, there's always time. There's always time to turn things around. Make sure you make some trades. Make sure you hit the waiver wires. I know it's week 7. You're probably panicking. You're probably saying, shit, I can't do anything about it. There is still hope. You just got to do something about it. All right. So take that with a grain of salt. Maybe that wasn't too aggressive. Let's get straight into the video. My first start tight end is Evan Engram versus the New York Giants, playing against his former team, droppable Engram. He drops every single pass. He ain't doing it for the freaking the Jacksonville Jaguars, but now you want to pop off? Okay, I see how it is. The Giants currently give the 10th most fantasy points to the tight end position. This past week, the Giants against Mark Andrews, who, yes, we understand is Mark Andrews, caught 7 out of 11 targets for 100 yards and a touchdown, over 23 fantasy points. Tight end 1 of the week. What can you do? What can you say? Or tight end 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think Mike Gesicki was tight end 1. I'm starting Evan Engram this week. The past 2 weeks, Evan Engram. Week 5, caught 6 out of 10 targets, over 12 fantasy points. Week 6, caught 5 out of 6 for 9 fantasy points. If you do have, Dawson Knox or Tyler Higbee or Dallas Goedert or Irv Smith on buys, Evan Engram could be a good plug and play. So start Evan Engram in week 7 with some confidence. Let's go to the other side of the ball with Daniel Bellinger, my beloved New York Football Giants. I think this could be a great start versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags currently do give up the 11th least fantasy points to the running back position, 11th fewest fantasy points to the tight end position, excuse me. Daniel Bellinger has been improving week in and week out, has been getting more opportunity on the field. This past week, week 6 against the Baltimore Ravens, caught 5 out of 5 in a touchdown for over 14 fantasy points. He was on the field for 94% of the snaps. 94. I'll put a little graph on the screen here as you can probably see it. 74 in week 5, week 4, 60, week 3, 60% of snaps, week 2, 58. So he's been improving week in and week out. And that's exactly what you want to see. Brian Dable starting to trust Daniel Bellinger. There's a guy that we need, another weapon that we need to really get this offense going. Kenny G is not there. Kadarius Toney is not there. We just got Wan'Dale Robinson back. So if Daniel Bellinger can continue to do and put up these numbers, I think he could at least get you 10 points. Once again, people that are on buy, Dallas Goedert, Dawson Knox, Tyler Higbee. If you can pick up Daniel Bellinger off the waiver wires right now and plug and play him, I think it's a great opportunity in week 7. And at number 3, we have Hunter Henry versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears currently give up the fewest amount of fantasy points to the tight end position. But I mean, Hunter Henry is the guy that we've been waiting for all week, and maybe this is the Zappe effect. Bailey Zappe coming in, taking over this offense. I do believe he plays again on Monday night against the Chicago Bears at home. This past week against the Cleveland Browns, caught 4 out of 7 in a touchdown, over 16 fantasy points. The week before, where Bailey Zappe against the Detroit Lions, if I'm not mistaken, caught 4 out of 5. Over 9 fantasy points. I think that's when Bailey Zappe went in and took over that game, and you saw a lot of opportunity for Hunter Henry. So look, Hunter Henry is a guy that we all been wanting to do good. If you did the late round tight end strategy, this was the expectation, the hope that you can get and production that you can get from Hunter Henry if this continues against the Chicago Bears, which hopefully it should be not a high scoring game, but it should just be a game where Bailey Zappe is probably slinging it around against the Chicago Bears. So start Hunter Henry with some confidence. My last start tight end of this week is Hayden Hurst versus the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons currently give up the 4th most fantasy points to the tight end position. Last week, Hayden Hurst a little bit quiet, only caught 3 out of 3, over 5 fantasy points. But the Atlanta Falcons do give up a lot of points to the tight end position. But also, let me also remind you that the Atlanta Falcons are dogs. They're fighting right now. I don't think this is going to be an easy game for the Bengals. We just saw the Atlanta Falcons beat the San Francisco 49ers, so we all thought that 49ers should easily take this game. The Atlanta Falcons are 3-3. We got to take them a little bit seriously. Their defense is good. Their offense is a little bit shaky, but for somehow they are winning games, and that's exactly what you want. Last week, the Atlanta Falcons against the San Francisco 49ers gave up over 16 fantasy points to George Kittle. It is George Kittle, though. A little bit different. Caught 8 out of 10 targets for 83 yards. Once again, 16 fantasy points. If Hayden Hurst can do a glimmer of that and get you 9 to 11 points, I think that's exactly what we want coming into week 7. So start Hayden Hurst with confidence. As always, we like to give you our start tight ends of the week, and now going into our sit tight ends of the week. And this week we have Mike Gesicki versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers currently give the 9th least amount of fantasy points to the tight end position, and I know Mike Gesicki went off this past week against the Vikings, caught 6 out of 7, caught 2 touchdowns, over 24 fantasy points. It's not realistic. I'll be completely honest. We said the same thing to you in week 2 versus the Ravens, where he only caught 4 passes but caught a touchdown, and he had like 14 fantasy points. It's like, well, is it Mike Gesicki time? And that shootout, it's not. It's not that time. It's still not that time, and I don't think it will be that time. We are getting Tua tags back, which means Waddle, which means Tyreek is going to start to eat once again and come back and rise from the ashes with Tyreek or with Tua. But Mike Gesicki is not. I won't be surprised if Mike maybe catches a couple passes, and maybe he catches 3 passes and a touchdown, and he has like 9-10 fantasy points. But it's not realistic. It's not a guy that you can start with confidence versus the Steelers. So for me, I'm sitting Mike Gesicki going into week 7. And my last sit tight end this week is any Cowboys tight end, whether that's Dalton Schultz or Jake Ferguson. I know Jake Ferguson just had a decent game. Both of these guys are playing the Detroit Lions, So they play the Detroit Lions, who currently give up the 7th most fantasy points to the tight end position. I know that they do give up a lot of points. Dak is coming back. Cooper Rush, served his time, and it's been once again confirmed that Dak is coming back. But I think I just want to avoid it. I know Dalton was questionable coming into this game and saying, well, he suffered another setback and et cetera, and then now it was Jake Ferguson. But I don't believe I want to lean on Jake Ferguson going into this week. I know if you may need a desperation play, I think all the guys that I said you could be starting, Evan Engram, Daniel Bellinger, Hunter Henry, Hayden Hurst, if they're on waiver wires, I'm picking them up over Dalton Schultz and Jake Ferguson right now on any sort of team or format, in my personal opinion. So I will be sitting Jake Ferguson and Dalton Schultz going into week 7. Guys, I always like to say there's plenty of time to turn things around, but it's getting to a point where there's not that much time. You got to go out, start hustling, send some trade offers, hit the waiver wires, do what you got to do to turn your team around to start getting some wins. Let us know. Comment down below. We can definitely help you out. Come 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday, where we answer all your Star City questions or trade questions, whatever you need. We're there. Go on Patreon, patreon.com/FantasyLand fam. Get the fantasy hotline. We can help you out answer questions, any of your questions 24/7. We appreciate each and every one of you. We thank you for all the support. Once again, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, last reminder, Bills, Rams, Vikings, Eagles, all on bye week. So take them out of your lineup, and good luck in week 7.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLand fam.